read out. This room is fitted with automatic cameras and sound tracking and microphones in the ceiling. Given this, I will remind members of a few things. When you are talking, please continue to speak clearly and try not to whisper. Keep all other sounds to a minimum, as shuffling of papers, typing loudly on the keyboard may bring the camera onto you. Also bear in mind that because the ceiling microphones are sensitive, they might pick up conversation in the room, including informal remarks. And finally, please refrain from using a mobile phone, as when the camera zooms in, not only capture the speaker, but also those next to them. The last 2 points are particularly important, as we are live streaming the meeting on YouTube, and the recording of that will be available any time on that channel. We're not expecting a fire drill this morning, so if the alarm should sound, please follow officers out of the doors behind me and by the side, and will then make your way down the stairs in the foyer into Duke Street, where you'll be taken to the location assembly point in the grounds of the cathedral opposite. Thank you very much indeed. Agenda item 1, membership apologies, substitution and declaration of interest. Gemma.
Thank you, Chairman. We have received apologies from Councillor Crowe, Councillor Siddle, Councillor Thorogood and Councillor Barker, for whom Councillor Henry is substituting. Okay. No substitution from the rest? No. Okay, thank you. Any declaration of interest? Councillor Septo.
As a member of Rochford District Council's Planning Committee, I was on the Planning Committee at the time Woolsey Park was agreed on the outline plan permission.
Okay. They can still carry on, take part in the meeting?
Yes, it's a dispensation for dual-hatted members.
Okay, that's great. Councillor Hoy.
I was also on Rochford District Council's Planning Committee at the time this was approved, and in addition to that, I have campaigned for the school and for the school on the site, and I've spoken about it in council meetings, supporting the site. I've been advised that I can stay in the meeting but cannot participate in discussions. Okay, thanks so much indeed. Yeah, lovely. Any further declarations, members? No? Okay, thank you very much. Minutes of the 22nd of August 25. Do I sign them as a true record, members? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And public speaking, Gemma.
Thank you, Chairman. For item 5.1, Land at Andrews Way, Woolsey Park, we have Claire Newbury speaking on behalf of the applicant for the application.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 4, mineral waste. 4.1, Home Farm Hall Road, Gonzens, Elsenham. Retrospective change of use. This is in the hand of Tom Sycamore. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. Just going to share the screen. So this application relates to a retrospective change of use of land and buildings to a sui generis use for inert waste storage and processing, comprising a building for use as a workshop and aggregate storage, an external processing and storage area, porter cabin offices and car parking, and a further ancillary vehicle parking area. The application also includes alterations to the existing building to increase the height of the access. For some background, this site does benefit from planning permission approved in 2016 by Uttlesford District Council for the use of the site as a haulage yard, which includes storage and storage of heavy mobile plant, machinery and materials, together with an array of other ancillary development. ECC initially investigated this site together with Uttlesford District Council following complaints received about ongoing operations. It was agreed between both councils that the use of the site was a waste use, and this fell outside of the remits of the extant haulage yard permission and any other permissions that were associated with the site. As such, this planning application has been retrospectively submitted in an attempt to regularise the use and the activities ongoing. and any formal enforcement action has been held in abeyance subject to the outcome of this planning application. So an aerial shot here. The site is located in the hamlet of Gaunt's End, which is in the centre of the screen here. You can see surrounding, we have Stansted Airport to the south, approximately 750 metres south. We have the Elsenham Industrial Estate, is this group of buildings just to the south of the site, on the opposite side of the road. We also have the communities of Elsenham in the northwest and Tye Green to the southwest. The M11 is located off the screen about 2 kilometres to the west of the site. You can see the surrounding character is mainly agricultural fields with pockets of woodlands and hedgerows. We zoom in to the site here. So the site itself is located on the north side of Hall Road and situated within a group of buildings which are collectively known as Home Farm. The site shares an access which is just here off of Hall Road. It shares this access with a number of other commercial businesses which occupy the other buildings within the Home Farm complex. This includes a grab hire company and a construction and carpentry business. There is a hotel which is just on the western side, about 50 metres west of the site. This is the Salis Hotel, and there are a number of residential properties within a 100-metre radius of the site, the closest of which is Home Farm Bungalow, which is located just here. There's a barn just where the mouse is. This is Grade 2 listed, and there is also a Grade 2 listed building which is on Hall Roads, which is Home Farm House just down here. The whole area here is located within the countryside protection zone within the Uttersford local plan. Just to get a bit of a clearer picture on the layout of the site, so you can see the access off of Hall Roads moves north into the site. There is an operational building which occupies this area. This is used for aggregate storage and as a workshop, and then through the building out the other side, on the north side, there is an open air waste processing area which is surrounded on 3 sides by a 5-metre concrete panel wall. There is mobile office buildings in front of the operational building here, a car parking area, and then wrapping around through the site, there is a further ancillary vehicle parking area here, mainly for the use of HGV parking. The hours currently operating, or the site is currently operating and is proposed, is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays, with no working on Sundays and bank holidays. The screening and crushing operations which take place in this waste processing area are to be restricted to between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Monday to Friday only, with no working on weekends. So just a few photos of the site. So this is the access standing on Hall Road, looking into the site. Travelling down the site. On the access, we're now looking back down the access, so you can sort of see the extent of the access road here. This is the Grade 2 listed barn in the centre of the photograph there. Turning around again, looking north, we have the site offices, mobile site offices and car parking there with the operational building behind. You can see that the raised entranceway which has been done, and through to the waste processing area at the rear. So within the building, this is the workshop section on the left-hand side of the building, mainly for maintenance of vehicles. And the right-hand side is occupied by bays for aggregate and waste storage. And then the rear is the open air crushing and screening area with the concrete wall panelling, and see the operational area there for the main operation. This is the ancillary HGV parking area to the east of the site, and then it wraps around into this area here. In terms of the raised access of the building, so just to show what those changes were, the top drawing here was the previous elevation. This is the front elevation. You can see the site office in front of the building. So the entranceway is the only change here. So it's the raised eaves to allow access for HGV tipper lorries to get in and out. And this is proposed on the front and the rear entrances of the building. And again, just to show a side view, you can see the previous elevation roof line, and then the drawing is the current raised eaves for the entranceway. The actual height of the maximum height of the building has not increased. And then the floor plan, again, just to show aggregate storage on the right side, workshop on the left, open air waste processing area to the rear. We have received 18 letters of representation, 16 again, 2 in support. Elstone Parish Council have stated no objection, though they have requested reduced hours of operation. Letters of representation cover a range of different planning issues, they are all summarised in the report, page 44 on the agenda. In principle, the proposed use is considered to be acceptable in this location when it's assessed against the policies 5 and 6 within the local plan. It's considered to fall under the category of previously developed land, and whilst not allocated employment area, it does benefit from historic permissions allowing general industry, storage and distribution, which are considered to be more compatible with a waste use. The site is located within the countryside, as per the local plan. However, again, it is within a pocket of development with a long-established commercial use, where commercial activity has existed for many decades. Uttlesford District Council have not raised any objection to the proposal. Touching on noise, which has been one of the main concerns raised by representations, obviously the most likely noise generating activity would be the crushing and screening activities, which are taking place at the open air area at the rear of the building. The application is supported by a noise assessment. It takes a noise survey from the nearest residential receptor, which is Home Farm Bungalow. And the assessment calculates noise levels at the facade of this property to be 44 decibels. The DeSalis Hotel over on the west is calculated at 57 decibels at its facade. With regards to the hotel, the assessment considers that the hotel windows are all double glazed, meaning that internal noise levels of the hotel would be at least 30 decibels lower than the external, which is considered to be a good standard of internal noise and in accordance with noise guidance. The assessment recognises the location of the site with also within the line of final approach for aircraft landing at Stansted Airport. Visiting the site, this happens obviously regularly with incoming aircraft, and they fly just over the fields to the east here. Ambient noise levels in this situation are above 50 decibels when aircraft are landing. And it also identifies commercial facilities, which are also other noise generating sources. The council's noise consultant raises no objection based on the findings of this noise assessment, and it considers the character and the noise environment of the surrounding area is relevant here. There's a condition recommended for noise levels to not exceed more than 5 decibels above the background sound level. And we also have restrictions on the operation of the screener and crusher to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. We've also added conditions recommended for 3-monthly noise monitoring to ensure these levels are met, and also a requirement for vehicles and mobile plant to be fitted with white noise alarms. Regarding dust, again, a concern has been raised with dust. There is a dust risk assessment and an air quality and dust management plan as part of the application, identifies this site to be a medium risk of dust impacts to human health and dust soiling. It then recommends a number of mitigation measures, which have all been secured by condition. This includes the use of an air quality logbook, mitigation measures for vehicle speeds. There have been other recommendations made by Council's air quality consultant, which we have requested be included within the dust management plan. So things like turning exhausts up to prevent blowing onto the ground, dust guards on vehicles, and no idling of engines. We also added conditions for spraying the whole road during dry conditions. So with these mitigation measures, it has been considered that the potential impacts of dust would be adequately controlled, that would not pose a threat to human health. With regards to vehicle movement numbers, maybe a bit confusing at the moment, but I'll quickly summarise here. The application, again, is supported by a transport technical note, which these figures have been taken from. It takes a number of figures and estimations relating to vehicle movements generated from this proposed development, as well as movements from the other businesses within the home farm complex. The first table, to summarise, it shows an estimated average of all vehicle movements from the home farm complex, excluding this proposed site, to be 80 per day. This does include all vehicle types, so not just HGVs. It then looks at the previous haulage yard use in the second table. Vehicle movements associated with this use were estimated to be 86 per day, which includes, again, all vehicle types. The total permitted movements when you combine the two is 166 movements per day. Of these, 31% are considered to be from HGVs. So around 50 HGVs per day, 25 in, 25 out, is considered to be the baseline permitted movements, excluding this proposal. The third table then shows the impact of the proposed development. You consider these movements. So the proposal is estimated to generate 30 HGV movements per day, so 15 in, 15 out. And the last table shows the comparison between the previous use as a haulage yard combined with existing home farm uses would be 166 movements. Replacing the haulage use with this use would bring that down to 160. There would be a potential intensification during peak network hours. However, the overall movements per day is considered to be a de-intensification. So the application has been determined on the basis that there are 30 movements per day from this proposal, and a condition has been added to reflect that, which restricts movements to 30 a day of HGVs, 15 in, 15 out. This is not considered to be a significant number to impact the capacity or safety of the highway network. There's been concern raised about the suitability of haul roads for HGVs. There is evidence there's a grass verge opposite the access, which shows evidence of mounting of the verge, which has been observed on site by officers. The road is a single carriageway road. It provides a link to the B1051 and onward access to the A120. It's designated as a Priority 2 road, which is defined as a route that performs essential traffic management distributory function between local network roads and Priority 1 roads. The road is a 60 mile per hour national speed limit. There are no pedestrian pavements within the vicinity of the site. The use of haul roads by HGVs is not considered to be out of character with this location, considering other commercial uses here and further along Hall Road. This drawing shows the achievable visibility displays which have been provided by the applicant, which the Highway Authority considered to be sufficient and raised no objection on these grounds. Regarding the verge opposite, we requested swept path analysis drawings, which have been provided here, which shows that the largest potential vehicle accessing the site could theoretically turn in and exit without mounting the verge. This is accepted. However, you can see on the drawings that this suggests vehicles have to cross onto the other side of the road in order to get a wide enough turning circle to turn in. This initial concern was obviously raised by ourselves and the Highway Authority. It was requested that the applicant amended the access to widen it to 6 metres for at least the first 10 metres of the access. And this has been agreed with the applicant, who now they have amended the application to ensure the access is widened to 6 metres. And it's considered that with this width and the visibility displays that have been demonstrated, we consider that the access is acceptable, and the straightness of Hall Road here is considered to be sufficient for line of sight in both directions. And this should reduce the need for vehicles to take such a wide turning circle. Just quickly flick to that. So in terms of parking, just quickly touch on this. So the applicant suggests they have a maximum of 15 HGVs that would need to park on site overnight, as well as the parking in front of the office here. They suggest there's up to 25 staff cars or staff personal vehicles. Now, obviously, you can see that there's not 25 spaces here in the staff car parking area. So they suggest that there's 9 spaces here. They suggest that an overflow would be provided in the vehicle parking area alongside the up to 15 HGVs. So we've considered that this area is sufficient for that number of vehicles. However, we have requested a condition to provide a plan to show these spaces, to show the provision of these spaces on a plan, and indicate the parking areas. And finally, just on visual impacts and landscaping. So the applicant has provided an indicative landscaping plan here, although we have requested a more detailed and full landscaping plan with planting and species detail. There are a couple of public right-of-ways which potentially have views of the site. Again, this is a change of use. There's no new development in terms of physical building other than the vehicle parking area, which was extended, we think, in 2023 by about half a hectare. So this section is considered to be new development, and we have considered obviously the visual impacts there. But we've considered that the proposed landscaping, we have a proposed hedgerow along the east side of the parking area, an existing bunds on the north side of the waste processing area, which has been, this was part of the previous permission and has already been installed. Planting is proposed on this bund as well, which would be delivered by condition. So to conclude, yeah, the location is considered acceptable in principle. It's in accordance with the locational criteria within the waste local plan. Vehicle movement numbers are considered to be reasonable, and the implementation of a multitude of planning conditions are considered adequate enough to control potential impacts on the development. The recommendation is therefore approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Tom. We have no public speakers on this item. I'll go to the members. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very interested. I've read this 2 or 3 times and very interested in the presentation. Thank you, Tom. The first question I had, Chairman, if I'm allowed to say that, is about the retrospective. And this is not just this application, it's all applications. It seems to me it's a bit wrong that we find something's wrong and then later on we try to put it right, which seems to me the wrong way around. If the people are professional enough not our officers, they are, but I mean, the people who are applying, how would they find out, Tom, through you, Chair, what the requirements of our rules are? Is there adequate means to find that out, or do they have to come capping out asking for that information? That's the first question. And the second one, in the report, Tom, it mentions bird strikes, reducing risk. You didn't mention that in any mitigations, and I just wondered how real that risk is if there's pollution in the items or polluted items that birds would feed off. I wouldn't want to lose an aircraft, and nor would the operators, of course, and nor would we. But and we want to mitigate that risk. But is the risk so minimal you didn't want to put a mitigation in, Chair, for you, if that's okay?
Thank you, Councillor Harris. I think that everybody shares your frustration about the first bugbear or retrospective, but sadly it's something that anybody's very perfectly entitled to do. But I'll hand over to Tom for a fuller response. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just echo that, Councillor Harris. Yeah, it is the planning system we operate under. Applicants are entitled to submit retrospective planning applications. On the bird strike issue, the waste type is inert waste only, so there's no putrescible or bird attracting waste considered. We haven't added a condition, though if it's requested by members, I don't think there'd be an objection to add that.
I would suggest so, sir, because the risk, even if it's 0.1%, there's so many people that travel through Stansted and wouldn't put anything at risk, and it's well worth thinking about it, isn't it? Take the remarks. Thank you very much, Tom.
When we come to the recommendation on Councillor Steele. I think you put your hand up. Councillor Henry.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks, Tom, for the presentation. I wanted a little bit of clarification, if I could, Mr. Chairman, on the operating hours. So we've said 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, 7 till 6 Saturday, Sundays and bank holidays are closed, and that we'll be operating the crushing mechanisms 8 till 5. That seems a little early in the day to be starting battering about crushing things. But what I was more concerned about is movements on and off the site. Are we going to see excessive movements through this very, very rural area pre-8 o'clock and post, or pre-7 o'clock and post-8 o'clock?
Tom?
Do we have anything in there that mitigates some of that movement?
As the conditions at this stage, we only have a restriction on the crushing and screening to 5 p.m. So between 5 and 8 p.m. there's theoretically no restriction on movement, HGV movement numbers. We do have a condition for total numbers in the day, which is 30 a day. So there's no control on when they might come in, and they might all leave in the morning and they'll all come back at night, which obviously would potentially raise concern locally there. We've considered that the number is not significant, i.e. 30 a day is not considered to be an excessive amount of vehicles. So we've allowed, and the hours to 8 p.m, the previous use had those hours for the haulage yard, and that included movements of vehicles for bitumen spreading, I believe it was. So those hours have been carried forward into this proposal based on that previous use. Yeah, I'd say that.
Are you trying to come back?
No, I mean, I do find it frustrating that we're starting this crushing stuff at 8 o'clock. That seems a little early in the day to be doing something like that. I welcome the mitigations of the limit to the number of vehicles, and also the widening the 6 metre width.
That's right.
I think that's a great thing. And I completely support Councillor Harris's suggestion.
Okay.
Mitigations. Thank you.
Councillor Bafflin.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just slightly concerned myself about the hours, but if it was used as a haulage yard before, does that mean that there would have been lorries going in and out there 24 hours a day?
So there was the restricted hours of the site was the same as this proposal for that use. So there vehicles were only moving between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. So there was no movement outside of those hours. that previous use was effectively HGVs would have loaded up with bitumen emulsion at the site and depart, and then they'd return to the site. We don't know exactly when that happens, but...
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Reeves.
As you said, Lynette, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. If it was a haulage yard before and there was concern about the road width, why is there concern now? Because obviously previously there wasn't, regarding cyclists and people with prams, etc., as in the body of the agenda. I'm just curious as to why that nothing has changed with the road width. So if it was used before, why are people concerned now? And is a 60 mile an hour limit, could that be lowered at all?
Tom?
I think in terms of concerns, the haulage yard use was permitted by Uttlesford District Council. We were only made aware of this site. Looking at our enforcement records, we were first notified. So the haulage yard was permitted in early 2016. We were notified in 2017 about potential waste use. However, it was determined at that time by Uttlesford that the use was within that haulage yard permission. The current tenant has been in situ since February 2021. And we were notified in 2024 that it's a potential waste use. So that's where we've got us involved. So we haven't been made aware of, there may have been past complaints that we weren't aware of. We may have been made aware of a waste use in 2024. We have subsequently invited the planning application to regularise that use. So yeah, there may have been concerns potentially. We've identified, along with the Highway Authority, the concern and the issue with the verge, and we felt it necessary to then implement conditions for a widened access to try and mitigate that.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the access, it's just sort of the road itself.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Your second question, my apologies.
No, that was
it.
Oh yeah, to reduce the limit, I think it would be the Highway Authority's prerogative if that's something sort of out of our control.
It's probably against policies of reducing speed. Tom, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I think with this site, it's probably a site that's evolved over time, and probably the intensity of HGVs turned into the site has increased as activities have changed and developed, and probably where you had maybe a few HGVs associated with the haulage used previously and the need to cross the highway to turn into the site was maybe once or twice a day. Given the use that's now going on, it's more prevalent in terms of the vehicle movements that are going into the site, and therefore it's become an issue, or an issue which has been brought to our attention through this application, which has given rise to why we've sought to increase the access through the planning application.
Given we've got Matt Bradley here today, it would be rude for me not to invite him to the table to comment on that. Matt, would you like to come and enlarge on that?
I should have taken your offer up.
You feel uncomfortable with me asking you?
Thank you. Yeah, just on this issue, I mean, on the speed limit issue, the area is kind of not one that would be kind of where it would meet with the current speed management policy in terms of changing the speed limits there. As far as I'm aware, the visibility space, etc., concur with that, the speed of traffic passing that site. So there's no kind of issue in that respect. I think that the whole road along that sort of Hall Road, Parsonage Road, the whole link up to Elston, it varies in width considerably from around 6 metres, 5.5 metres. It has got